Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're getting into the drawer portion of our series on our kitchen build. We're going to get into construction, edge banding, finishing, drawer slides, and drawer slide operation, installation, etc., etc. I'm going to probably split this up into two parts because there's a lot of material to go over. So don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and enjoy the video. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel on our start to finish kitchen series. Today we're doing all things drawers. So we're going to build them, we're going to band them, we're going to finish them, we're going to install slides and do a little informational on different kind of slide mechanisms, and we're going to install them. And I hope you stick around for all things drawers. Okay, so before we get started, I just want to qualify something. We are making drawers for a kitchen. This is not furniture, this is cabinetry. Now, there's a few little details with drawers that, I understand the craftsmanship and doing box joints or dovetails, etc. But when I walk into somebody's house and I see they've got dovetail drawers in their off-the-shelf manufactured kitchen, I just think, what a waste of money. It's just for what you get out of it and how much they charge for it. It's just not worth it. It doesn't make sense. I like to bring value and quality to my clients, and I feel that this is the best method of giving them that. That's not to say I don't like box joints or dovetails. I do, and I think they have their place. I don't think their place is in kitchen. When you're spending $120,000 on a kitchen, you don't want to spend that extra. I've got 14 drawers here, and for me to put dovetails on all of them is it's not going to be cheap, because I don't use a template with a router bit. If you're going to do dovetails, in my opinion, you do them by hand with a Japanese handsaw, and you lay everything out. So it's not even sized. That's my preference. I like to see different sized dovetails, so you know it's been done by hand. These manufactured ones that are going through a CNC machine, it just doesn't cut it for me, and I just don't see the value in it. The other thing you won't see in any of my drawers is any slotting and using 1/4 inch plywood sitting inside a slot. 1/4 inch plywood is 1/4 inch plywood, and a lot of drawers around this size are going to hold some heavy pots and things like that. And I just don't think, in my opinion, that it's strong enough, and I've just seen too many of them that end up sagging over the years. And again, there's a lot of extra steps in doing that. I mentioned that in my upper cabinet assemblies about using 1/4 inch on the back with nailers, and I'm just not a fan of it. It's extra steps that are unnecessary, and it's extra money that you or your client would have to pay for those extra steps. Now, having said that, of course, you're going to spend a little extra money using solid material, but I feel the quality you get from that is much better spent than on having dadoed panel put in that's only 1/4 inch thick. The two don't weigh out evenly. They may cost the same in the end, but I think personally that the quality is a lot different. You can see what I use here is that this is 15 mil Baltic birch, which is just under 5/8. It's virtually void free. If you're wondering about voids, here's a void right here, dead center in this piece, and you can see it's about 3/4 inch deep. Try getting a screw to hold into that. Anyways, so you've got good, it's 9 plies, so it's super strong, and you can see the way that I put these together. I've got the sides at full length, and I've got the front and the back sitting in between. That way, the end of your plywood, this is covered by your front panel, and then the sides are covered by the drawer. Now, if you look really carefully, you can see a little bit of ply there, but realistically, not so much. So the reason I do it this way is I can have this full width It's 5/8, it's thick, it's strong. I can screw into everything from the bottom. And the only difference that I do is my sides. I use 2-inch 18 gauge brad nails and glue, and then I clamp it. Now, so many people talk about strength, the strength of the drawer, the strength of the drawer. I want somebody to tell me how much side load like this goes on a drawer. None. It's all on the bottom. So if you think pin nailing and gluing makes for a weak drawer, I would put this up against any dovetail drawer with a 1/4 inch bottom on it. And that is a fact. And again, don't get me wrong. I'm all for the artistry and the whole woodworking aspect of doing dovetails and box joints and having nice strong joint. And if you're a hobbyist, doing something like that and having success it's very satisfying. I'm in a practical situation where I'm building things for clients, so I need to deliver something a little bit different. It's not a personal thing where I get personal satisfaction out of it, even though I do. But if I was making for something for myself, obviously I would want to do my own handmade dovetails. In fact, I had a client that I made a bed and 2 end tables for, and I did hand dovetails in the drawers. Unfortunately, I don't have any photos of it, but here's one of the bed and the 2 night tables. So you can see I took great pride in that. That was made out of sapele or sepali. I did a French polish on the top of the tables. It came out beautiful. And stuff like that, that's a small piece, 1 drawer in each nightstand. You take the time, you put the effort in to make it beautiful. We're talking utilitarian. This is a kitchen. It's a big kitchen. It's a very expensive kitchen. And I think this is going to be functional, and it's still going to be attractive, because really we've got our drawer front sitting across here. What's everyone going to see? They're going to open the drawer, and they're going to be looking in here. Now, if the client said, okay, I want undermount slides and what have you, then I would definitely reconfigure how I made it, and I would do drawers with joinery in them, as opposed to straightforward gluing, screwing, and nailing. But I find this method to be the most efficient in terms of production, because some people aren't timelines too. They want things boom, 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 and this has got a ton of work to it, and we're doing like solid panels in the center of all the doors and drawers, so we're not slipping in pieces of plywood. We have to glue and sand and all that. So I would rather my clients spend money on having something like that as opposed to looking at dovetails, because you don't see the dovetails. But if you got a piece of plywood in the center of your panel that looks like that, that's a piece of plywood. Okay, enough of me yapping. Let's get to work. Okay, before we start assembly, I just want to show you quickly what I do with my grain orientation. I like to imagine I make my drawers or my cabinets of one big piece. If this were a cabinet, this would be the back, this would be the top, this would be the bottom. So the grain is running continuous. And then these would be the sides, which are matching vertical grain there. With my drawers, what I like to do is I run my grain widthwise. And again, I match that with the front and back, and then these actually become the sides here. So your grain is running down and up, and then horizontal there. I hope that explains it. So we're just about ready to start our assembly. Before I get to that, I just want to go over something that I mentioned in my cabinetry video, how I sand the plywood with 150 generally to avoid burning through the edges. Baltic birch is a different animal than standard plywood. The outside veneers are quite thick, and you can really give them a good sanding, and they need it. There's actually a pattern. I don't know if it's the grain or if it's part of the manufacturing process, but there's sort of a ripple effect in the outside veneers, as you can see in this picture here. So I like to take those down smooth because the outside veneers are so thick. So I generally use 120 grit when I'm doing my drawers and anything Baltic birch. There's a video by a company called Svetsa, Sveza, in Russia, and I think they're the largest manufacturer of Baltic birch plywood. I looked at the video and I couldn't really tell if these are roller marks or if there's anything that could have, or if it's actually a feature of the grain itself. So there's nothing conclusive there. The fact is that it's there, and I like to get rid of it, and that's why you use 120. Okay, let's get into assembly. I've got my pieces ready to go. My horizontal grains, my sides with the verticals. These are opposite because I'm going to tack it, flip it around. Glue, I always try and keep it on the outside edge, so your squeeze out is to the outside. It's easier to clean up, and you want to try and avoid getting glue on the inside. So we're going to glue, tack, put the top on, tack that in place as well too, and then we're going to screw it together and clamp it. So let's get rocking. Okay, so while our drawer is drying up, let's talk about slides. This is your standard full extension slide, comes in two pieces. Full extension means you're mounting this the full length of your drawer, and as you open it, you'll see the back of your drawer will come right to the front of the cabinet. I don't have any standard extension slides. I don't see the need for them. If you're gonna have a drawer, it should open the whole way. Now, when you're taking these apart, basically, you'll see there's a little tab right there. You just push up on it and pull it out. And that's the piece that mounts onto your drawer right there. And this is the piece that mounts onto your cabinet. So you can see on this little piece here, this little lip is what catches on here to pull it out further. So you have this coming out, the lip catches this portion here, and then it drags this portion out. Now what you can't see is the roller cage in here, it slides along, and there's an actual, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a stop on both sides there. So when the track comes and hits that stop, you're at the end. These work well. I don't usually have any issues with them unless if you get dirt or sawdust in this in this cage with the ball bearings, it's going to get grindy, and it's a pain to clean. The other portion of this is there's a lock mechanism. So when the drawer comes in, you can see there's a plastic shaped portion there, and there's a little lip on the end of this, and it's kind of just a basic press fit on the rubber. So that comes to the end, and it just locks in place there, and it holds it. So that's your basic full extension slide in white. So after many years of using full extension slides, a company called Bloom, or Blum, I believe it's pronounced Bloom, made in Germany. They came out with these, and it's called tandem motion. And basically what it is a beautifully engineered slide that is soft closing, self-closing and soft closing. The only problem with these is you have to make drawers the way they want you to. It gets complicated, and you have to notch out the back of the drawers and everything. It's quite the process. And while I did use these all the time, and I went through the hassle of installing them using proprietary drilling hardware and such, I was thrilled when a newer mechanism came out. But I just want to show you quickly the beauty of these things. So the original one I showed you had ball bearings. This plastic cage here has roller bearings in it that are about, I don't know, 1/2 inch wide roughly. And it just rolls in there. It's so sweet. It just glides beautifully. And hopefully you can see the mechanism here. This is your key portion. You got a piston here. I don't know if you can see that. A piston there. And then you got 2 springs right here. And as you open it, the rod comes out of the piston here, and the springs build tension. Once it gets to a certain point, you can see that mechanism there, locks into place, and then it just slides freely. So as it comes back, this pin here will catch the mechanism, and what it does is it re-engages the spring tension, and the spring tension is working against this rod, which is inside this piston here. I hope you can see this. And it just pulls it closed nice and softly. Very nice, but over-engineered, and it takes a lot of work to build those drawers and a lot of time. So fortunately for me, a different kind of soft close mechanism came out, and it's also made by Bloom, and other companies now do the same thing as well. And it's a soft close, but it's in the design of a standard full extension slide. So it's got the cages, the ball bearing cages, and the same action, same stops, and everything else. But the difference is they simplified the mechanism a lot. So basically here you've got your 2 springs on either side that are going to give you tension to pull it in. And then you've got this is your rod here that rides inside the piston here. And that's what gives you resistance to pulling it close too hard. So this little nub here, you can see this mechanism, how it catches it, and it'll push it into this slotted chamber there. And that's what activates the spring catching, and it just pulls it closed, but not hard, because you have your piston here that's going through this fixed size orifice that gives you resistance to it. Much, much, much simpler. Very nice, easy mechanism, and you can build drawers the old-fashioned way, or however you like. You don't have to build it in the way the manufacturer does. And there's another one here that I happen to have in the shop. This is called a self-closing, not soft closing, but self-closing. And you can see this is the mechanism here. There's a spring here and a spring here on either side. And this is it's kind of neat actually. So it's got two different activation bars going across their plastic, and what the first one will push on this here, and as it pushes it, the spring tension pulls the drawer in. And when you pull it, once it's in, the other portion, this nub here goes into this slot here. So when you open the drawer, it's actually pulling on that. And when it pulls on it, you can see it dips down. Let me see if I can get a better shot of it. So it comes, and then it drops down. So this nub is out of the way, but this one is exposed. So your first piece comes into contact like that, pushes it, and as it rotates, this piece comes into play and engages in the other portion. So when you pull it back, it sends it into the slot. Now this is quite a, so you can see when this comes in, it pushes on that piece and then it rotates back, and this engages in this slot. So when you go to open it, that's being pulled on there, and then it pops down out of the way, and then it clears it. It's a bit harsher activation than the soft close. I use these on stuff that's going to have really heavy drawers and heavy stuff in it. If it's going to have pots and pans, or if it's a shop drawer that you're throwing, you know, some big tools in and stuff. Sometimes I find the soft close isn't quite strong enough to bring it in, so I use this self-close mechanism. But overall, this is my go-to. Very nice. And that's the slide lesson. Well, that wraps up part one of our two-part series on drawers. Stick around, and there's a lot more to come, and I hope to see you back again. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you for the next one. Take care.